now that I can't hear, how is everybody? Was that too loud for you guys?
No, it's fine.
No, it was amazing.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I was just
really
loving
good.
that. That was awesome.
That was the great Culture Casino. I just gave him like an idea and he went with it. And then we tweaked it just a little bit.
He did a 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much, Culture.
Culture.
And he did the update of my channel members for the credits. So I appreciate that because I put the wrong one out last week. So I appreciate it. But how are my great panelists tonight? How are you guys doing?
Good.
Yeah. Well, let's start with Miss Martin Muses. How are you tonight?
Never ask that. I'm in the complete pit of despair. But besides that, I'm doing fantastic.
Well, at least an hour and a half to pull you out of it, right?
Yes.
Hour and a half, and then
so
we can all
glad to be
slither.
here. So glad.
I'm glad you're here too.
Yeah.
And Jayne, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Doing good.
Good.
We had some ups and downs today in the news, entertainment news.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we're doing
What's
good.
the biggest thing you thought today?
Well, we do have the Henry Cavill new costume for The Witcher, which is awesome.
Ooh,
But we also found out that Dune is being delayed. So
And you made a video, right?
I did.
All right. So you got to make sure you're subscribed to Jayne and go check out her Dune video because she does great content. So make sure you're subscribed to everybody up here. And he hasn't been here. I don't know when were you here 2 weeks ago or maybe 3 now? But he is the one, the only, the true king of Westeros, Stig Stannis Baratheon Kenobi.
Lord of Dragonstone, Master of Ships, King of Westeros, Lord of Storms, and King of the Andals, the Rhoynar and the First Men, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms, Protector of the Realm. All who deny that are my foes. Let no man claim ignorance as a defense. They'll break the knee, or I'll destroy them. Isn't it right, Sir Davos?
He's the king of Westeros. I changed it up a little bit. How are you, Stig? How's everything, Mike?
Well, as usual, I'm grim, grumpy, in a dark mood, and I hate the world.
So I got you at the perfect time. Yeah, perfect time.
Everything is as it normally is.
Fantastic. And I'm sorry if I'm delayed a little bit. Did you guys catch that? I'm delayed a little bit. I know I am. I'm in a hotel trying to use a hotspot. So if I cut in, I will shut up right away and just keep going. All right.
Okay. No, you're fine.
All right. Good. All right. Thank you. Thank you. So let's see who's in the chat with us tonight. All right. We have, of course, Tina Bojan. And she says, good evening, friends, as always. The great Culture Casino. You know, I didn't even see this. But thank you. You just all saw the opening, which was fantastic. I'm so psyched to be using that. I'm going to use that for every Game of Thrones thing I do. We have Brutal Morningwood. At attention, sir. Hey, howdy, hey.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, did that come off wrong? Sorry. I was trying to do a pun.
Oh, you got me. Okay.
Yeah.
I can't believe you said that.
Well, Stig's here. I gotta think of the good puns. He's always.
I completely missed it because Tina in the chat seems to have really bad ears.
I don't get that one.
I don't say master of shits every week, Tina. It's ships.
Ships. I hear ships every week. Now the worst part is
I've never seen
shit.
I've never seen a shit with a sail on it. Have you?
No, I've seen a floater, but not one that sails.
Well, first time for everything.
I guess so. Toothpick and a napkin. Our first super chat super sticker of the night, Culture Casinos for 149. I'm guessing it's a Doomacorn. So thank you very much, sir. Storyman Jack, one of my newest channel members. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can become a member today for as little as a cup of Walton's best coffee. And that's, he says, I'm here. So he's taking a break from writing. Storyman Jack has a great channel where he he reads his own works of art, and then he also breaks down other people's works of art. And it's really kind of interesting to hear a real author, unlike Stephen Walton, talk about it. I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
I'm not. No, that was good. So guys, make sure you check out his channel, and we'll put his link in there, and make sure Culture Casino, you guys most likely are all subbed to him already. Bone says, hey, hope everyone is having a sporktacular day. I see what you did there. I like it. I like it. Sporktacular. I don't know. Here, hold on. Let me take off our names for a second. I wanted to go with Sporking the Bald instead of, Duncan the Tall.
It looks shiny.
Bikini 90, good afternoon and welcome to the Game of Thrones Book Club stream as we cover chapters 67 through 69, and that will be Sansa 6, Dany 9, and I think Tyrion 9. I believe those are the chapters. If you are enjoying, what's that?
Tyrion's going 69.
No, it is kind of funny. I wonder if George did that on purpose.
Probably.
I don't think he can do 69 though. He can probably just do 33.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Yeah, but I bet you George did that on purpose because he's a dirty little old man and I love it. That's great. So make sure you guys hit that smash button. Smash that like button. Our panelist, Miss Martin Muses, is up here. And we got, look at Mason comes with his actual channel again. Free Folk of the Fandom with your host, Jerboy. And Mason's a great supporter. He's been on with us, Jayne and I once. He did a really great job. So guys, please support him. I don't know how many subs he has, but he could use more. So we'll definitely throw his link in there. And I think that's everyone for right. Oh, no. One of my great channel supporters here, member, Emotionally Unstable Amphibian. Hail all. I love that name. That's such a cool name. And that's, and who knew? Who knew is here? Who knew? Hail, he is another new channel member. So thank you, brother.
Why the heck is he having an Arsenal player on there, though?
Oh. Is that? Where is Arsenal out of? Are they
London?
English? London?
I like Arsenal though.
I don't know enough about soccer. I do like the London. I think it's London League soccer, the one where like Liverpool and all them, because it looks like the fans are almost on.
It's Premier League. Why would Liverpool?
Premier League.
Why would Liverpool be in the London League?
I don't know. Is there a London League?
No.
Or is it just Premier League? You're talking. It's like me talking to you about American football. I have no clue.
I've been a Blackburn Rovers supporter since '92. Rovers till I die.
I just like that name.
Oh God.
All who deny that are my foes.
Now, where are they out?
Seriously.
Rover?
Yeah.
Blackburn Rovers, yeah.
Yeah.
They're out of Rover. Blackburn.
Blackburn.
Yeah,
Blackburn.
It's
all right, dude.
It's a small town outside of Manchester.
All right, so I thought you said Wales, South Wales.
No.
Well, I just found out I'm like a quarter Welsh. Is there any teams out there I could root for?
Swansea.
I don't know.
Swansea.
Yeah. Like Swan.
Swansea. Yeah, I got you. No. Swansea. Samsonite. You ever Dumb and Dumber? No, nobody? Okay.
No.
Yeah, that one didn't really go well. All right, so Swansea. Have they ever been good? Are they good at all?
Yeah, they've been in the Premier League. Now they're a division lower, but still. Oh, and Cardiff City is a Welsh team.
All right,
Welsh.
I might have to think about this. Go Welsh, brethren.
Isn't Stephen also part Welsh or something?
Stephen?
Yeah.
He thinks he's Scottish. Like I used to think I was. I thought my grandmother told me I was a quarter Scottish because her last name was Urquhart, and there's from the Highlands near Loch Ness. There's the Urquhart family, but my bloodline only shows 1% Scotland, and the rest is the 14 to 15% is Welsh. So
they're closely related though. They could be the same thing.
Yeah, I mean they're all on the same big island. Newport is in.
indigenous roots there. That's the thing.
Yes. Well, the Welsh are the indigenous people, aren't they?
They are the Scottish.
And the Scottish for somewhat. I mean, there was a lot of conquer. And Mary Samsonite. Thank you. Someone got that. Mary Samsonite. Thank you.
I was gonna say,
Right. So
never mind.
no,
I
please
was
say
just
it.
gonna say more football talk, but never mind.
No, that was dumb and dumber.
Liverpool. Now's not the time to be a Liverpool fan.
All right. All right. So we got a couple chapters tonight we're going to go over. We're going to try to do this in about an hour and a half, get it done kind of, maybe a half hour on each chapter, because last week we spent an hour on one chapter and it was awesome. Don't get me wrong. I just want to be able to fit. I think all three of these chapters, definitely the first two, have a lot in them. So, but if the conversation takes us there, the conversation takes us there. This is a free form. We don't script this, guys. I know a lot of channels that do Game of Thrones do kind of scripted. That is not us. So you might, if you're a snowflake, please leave. And also sometimes we try really hard not to spoil anything post Game of Thrones. So please, in the chat, don't go past Game of Thrones, the first book, with any knowledge, because there are some people that have not read. They're reading it with us, like Miss Martin Muses, and we try to not spoil past the chapter we're actually on. So
if you mention something that's not in book 1, you're dead.
You're dead to me. We will strike your. I'm giving McKinney 90. McKinney 90. You have the Ned Stark ability. You could take off just chop their message, delete it right off the head. All right.
He has ice powers.
Ice. Yes, that's even better. He has ice powers. I like that.
They'll follow the rules or I'll burn them.
Burn them all. Stannis will do it too.
Yeah.
He'll do it.
He will.
Yeah, definitely. No, he don't play around. And we're going to be talking about Stannis in one of these chapters, actually, because there was a mention of him and it made me think of something. So, but we're going to first start off with, I believe it's Sansa, and that's you, correct, Jayne?
That's correct.
All right. So if anybody wants to know, we get a lot of, we've all read the books, a couple of us a few times, but when we're doing our summary, we either take it directly from Westeros.org or we summarize from that website. It's like their wiki of Ice and Fire. So we are not plagiarizing, but it's the easiest way to compact everything we need. So whenever you're ready, Jayne, take it away.
Okay. Sansa stays in her room in Maegor's holdfast, sleeping, sobbing, and sleeping again. She does not eat the food the servants bring. When she dreams, she relives her father's beheading. She remembers wanting to look away, but not being able to. She remembers that all the people were screaming, and she remembers Joffrey smiling and feeling safe until he said those words. Sansa believes she will be executed, and the thought does not bother her. She knows songs will be sung about her. She even considers throwing herself from her window, but cannot summon the courage, and runs back to her bed, sobbing. She dreams of footsteps that belong to Sir Ilyn Payne coming for her with ice. In the dreams, when Sir Ilyn is at her door, she realizes she is naked and covers herself and screams out that she'll be good. Finally, Joffrey arrives with the Hound and 2 others of the King's Guard. Joffrey throws the curtains of the bed open and tells her that she'll attend him in court that afternoon. Sansa begs him to leave her be, but Joffrey threatens to have his Hound force her. When she does not move, he orders the Hound to get her out of bed. She struggles as her blankets fall away to show that she only wears a thin bedgown. The Hound then tells her, "Do as you're bid, child. Dress." He pushes her to the wardrobe almost gently. She tells Joffrey that she did as she was asked and now only wants to go home. Joffrey tells her that he is still to marry her, so she will stay here. She responds that she does not want to marry him because he killed her father despite promising mercy. Joffrey insists he was merciful. He gave her father a clean death. Sansa now truly sees Joffrey for the first time and cannot believe she ever found him handsome. Sansa whispers that she hates him. Joffrey tells her that his mother has said he should not strike his wife, so he orders Sir Meryn Trant to strike her with the back of his gloved fist. Sansa sprawls to the floor, her ear bloody. She agrees to attend court and everyone but the Hound leaves. The Hound tells her that she should save herself some pain and give Joffrey what he wants. She is to smile, smell sweet, and be his lady love. Two maids creep timidly into the chamber. Sansa instructs them to prepare a bath and to get powder to hide the bruise on her face. She's amazed at how dirty her bathwater becomes, not having washed since her father's execution. She chooses the green silk gown she wore at the tourney of the Hand when Joffrey was sweet to her. Maybe he'll remember and be gentle. Sir Meryn escorts her to the throne room. From her observation of Sir Meryn, Sansa realizes that he feels nothing towards her. She's only an object. Sansa tells Sir Meryn that he is no true knight, which she thinks the Hound would find amusing, but she gets no reaction. She's alone on the balcony as Joffrey dispenses what he considers justice. Mostly he lets his small council make the decisions, but when he intervenes, he will not be dissuaded. She sees the ugly face of Jon Slint at the council table and remembers how he threw down her father for Sir Ilyn to behead. She also notices how he nods approvingly at each of Joffrey's brutal judgments. She wishes some hero would cut off his head, but knows there are no heroes, remembering Peter Baelish telling her that life is not a song. Sansa thinks in life, the monsters win. The last case is a singer accused of singing a song ridiculing the king, Robert Baratheon. He is made to sing the song before the court, and Sansa thinks it's funny. In some verses, it seems like he's singing about the queen. Joffrey gives the man the option of keeping his fingers or his tongue. When the court is dismissed, Sansa flees the balcony only to be met by Joffrey, Sir Meryn, and the Hound. Joffrey examines her and tells her she looks much better. Sansa thanks him with hollow words. Joffrey then tells her to walk with him. The touch of his hand now makes her skin crawl. He asks her what she will give him for his coming name day, but Sansa admits that she was unaware it was near. Joffrey tells her that she is truly a stupid girl, and that his mother has said so, and is worried their children will be stupid as well. Despite her expectations, the words still hurt Sansa, and she realizes that the Hound was right. She is only a little bird repeating the words they taught her. Joffrey then tells her that he will get her with child as soon as possible, and if the child is stupid, she will lose her head, and he will find a smarter wife. He asks when she can have a child, and she tells him, not being able to look at him, that Septa Mordane told her 12 or 13. Sansa now realizes they are going up to the battlements and begs not to go there. Joffrey insists that he wants to show her how traitors are punished. He also threatens to have Sir Meryn drag her if she refuses. The Hound encourages her to go, and Sansa realizes that one way or the other, she must go up, so she goes willingly. It seems like she climbs 1,000 steps to the top. Sansa looks out across the city to the countryside beyond and lets her imagination cross the hundreds of leagues north to her home in Winterfell. Joffrey demands to know what she's looking at and instructs her to look at the head of her father, her scepter, and a dozen more. Her father's head does not look recognizable or even real. Sansa decides that they can make her look, but they can't make her see. Joffrey's disappointed by Sansa's hollow and stoic reaction. Sansa cannot understand why they would kill Septa Mordane, but Joffrey insists she was a traitor as well. He asks again what Sansa will give him for his name day as a preamble to declaring that instead he will bring Sansa the head of her traitor brother, Robb. Joffrey explains that Robb used treachery and deceit to defeat his uncle Jaime. Sansa suggests that Robb may give her Joffrey's head instead. This mistake results in 2 harder blows by Sir Meryn. Joffrey commands her to clean off the blood. For a fleeting moment, Sansa realizes that it would only take a shove to send Joffrey over the parapet to splatter far below. Just as suddenly, the moment is gone when the Hound comes between her and Joffrey to dab the blood from her broken lip with surprising gentleness. She thanks the Hound. She's a good girl and remembers her courtesies.
Oh, man. I before we discuss this one, I didn't get to reread this chapter. I was like, I read some of the summaries and stuff, and I can't remember if there's a part in this one where they talk about Jayne Poole.
No.
No, it must be one of the next ones because I have a question about that. So I'll definitely read the next one. All right. So Jayne, where would you like to start first with that one?
It's like you see little bits of rebellion here and there where she's refusing. I mean, first it starts in the bedroom, and she tells him that she hates him, but she says it very, whispers it, and that gets her hit. And she refuses to go up the steps, and he threatens her. And in that moment when they're both out there looking at the heads, there's this moment where she's telling herself to push him.
Right.
So,
and it's not even just that. Think about that real quick. Think about this. It's not just that she's going to push him. There must have been enough venom in her eyes, like the actual look of murder in her eyes, to get the hound to step between them.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, this is a scene they did really well on the show.
They did.
Yes. I agree with you on that. I definitely agree with you on that. I actually think the show did it a little bit more. You saw her reaction. She did a really good job for the actress that she is.
Mm-hmm.
Did a really good job at expressing that. Oh my God, she's going to push him over the edge. Because in the book, it's a little more hesitant. Like you think she's going to do something, but it's not as like in the show. You see her step, and she's like, "I'm throwing this son of a bitch down," So that's one thing.
The other thing too in the book, and the summary didn't have it, but she talks about not caring if she goes with him. So in that moment, she was probably going to throw them both over.
Like tackle.
Exactly. And I think that Clegane was saving her as much as he was saving Joffrey.
Interesting.
Oh,
yeah.
Miss Martin Muse, what do you think about that?
Well,
with,
yeah.
The Hound.
Well, for sure, I think that the Hound was protecting her. That was a little bit interesting what you're saying about, and also saving her from killing herself. Though at this point, maybe I'm thinking that would have been better for her. I mean, she is so screwed at this point. But imagine this, that she's gone from this little princess sitting around thinking, I'm going to be left with Ren and all these pretty things and have tea, to being at a point where she's ready to kill herself and kill someone with her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, she, at this moment in the book, she has to marry the guy who just executed her father in front of her after he lied to her.
Yeah. And Septa, basically her name.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yes. I mean, Septa Mordain loved Sansa, loved her. And I think they called her a traitor. What I believe is they saw that she would always side with Sansa.
Mm-hmm.
So they knew they just had to get rid of her to isolate Sansa and leave her by herself.
Yep.
Go ahead, buddy.
If Sansa had pushed Joffrey, that situation would have been off the walls crazy.
Yes, it would have. Yes, it would have. Something else I really liked about it too was you see that the Hound is doing everything he can without it being noticed to teach her, this is your life now, deal with it. I'm not going to save you, but I'm going to try to help you as much as I can by instead of throwing her to her dresser, he pushes her gently to the dresser, and tells her just give him what he wants, which is terrible actually, but in a real way, that's all he could do for her.
Well, that's reality. Now I'm wondering, not knowing what we know of anything, what is the Hound's motivation? Why didn't he just let this little foolish girl get what's coming to her? Why is he being so nice to her, if you will, or protective?
I have my ideas on it, but I'll ask you guys first. Stig, do you have an idea why he does this?
Yes. I think it ties into the Norse mythology stuff because he's
oh yeah,
he's a watchdog.
Right.
And he does this same stuff with someone else later.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, I forgot. And if you guys haven't seen that stream, go to my playlist streams and look for the one where we talk about North. You've had to read all the books already, but you can check that out. It is a spoiler one, but it's about Norse mythology, and Stig breaks it all down, and it's freaking awesome. Jayne, what do you think?
I think that he is in the same situation. I think he can relate to her because he is broken himself in many ways. And I think he may feel trapped in the situation too. And he's just doing what he has to do to survive it, which is kind of how he's been living his entire life.
Right.
And so he sees this other person who's being abused and he just empathizes with her.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Sam says it might be easy to feel bad for Sansa, but we do understand her, and that's the key. Yeah, I mean, these are the ones where I actually feel bad for Sansa. For the rest of the books, I just really don't care for her. But I think her using her courtesy as a shield with him, even though he always called her out on it, no one treats him like a human being. No one treats him with respect. And she always treated him with kindness and respect. Mm-hmm. And I think he has like a mini crush on her, like his little bird wants to protect her, No,
I think he sees her as a bully victim, which is what he was when he grew up.
Oh, that's even better, man. Yep. No, that's even better.
Yeah. And the fact that he's not necessarily a bad character because he does have empathy. He comes off as being heartless, but if you're truly heartless, you don't have empathy. He wouldn't sympathize with seeing somebody like that. Yeah.
And he's made his mark on Sansa because when Sir Maren Trent, she says to him, "You're no knight," and she thinks, the Hound would have liked that. He would have laughed at that because so she's even thinking about like how, the Hound doesn't want to be knighted because he realizes it's a sham, but yet he's probably the most out of anybody in the Kingsguard right now. He's the most knightly.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, and what kind of a-hole, hits a woman? Yeah, because that's the whole thing is that the reason why Cersei said you don't hit your wife is, you don't hit a woman. And not only did this knight guy hit the woman, she wasn't even a woman. She's a kid.
Well, and that goes to show you once Sir Barristan is gone and Jaime is gone, the last real knights of the Kingsguard are gone. The Kingsguard is no longer of knights. Do you agree, Stig?
If Sir Barristan had been there, Sir Meryn would have been dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
but they did well. Real quick, Stig. Let me ask you this: they were there when Aerys did things to his wife, and horrible things to his wife.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But they never did. This is the first time you see a Kingsguardman hurting a woman, not standing by, but actually physically doing it, a girl, like you said, Teresa. And, another thing I thought of is when she says that thing about a knight to him, he never even responds. Like, she's not even alive to him. She is an object. She is a means to an end. He does it like he didn't get a rise. She didn't get a rise out of him. Nothing. He is just, it's a tool. It's a toy. Not even a toy. It's just she's nothing. The king says beat her. I'm going to beat her with a armed glove. A gauntlet that is his glove is made out of steel. I mean, that you slap somebody with that, a grown man will drop to his knees, maybe even be knocked out. Like a slap is not gentle with a glove on.
No,
I think also he did address it to some degree. At one point, she basically says she'll do whatever he says, whatever Joffrey wants, whatever he wants, whatever. And Meryn responds, as do I. So right. I think he's going through the motion. I think it's her perspective that he sees her as an object. I think, though, for him, he's literally just doing what he's told. And that's all he's going to do.
Whatever the king tells him to do. I mean, Sir Maren Trent's a douche. We all know that. But we are seeing it from the victims. Both times we see him, it's from a victim's side of it.
Right. But
You
for
know,
being
he is-
told, he may never have ever done something like that. I mean, we just don't.
We don't know,
Mhm.
right? Because I mean, they meld him in the books and the show differently. So, you know, the show, he's a lot different.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and also,
That's the one.
yeah, I guess there's a good point brought up is at the end of the day, it's the king, and to disobey the order of the king, it could be death. You know,
And with this king, worse. I mean, that's the thing is and that's what I like about this chapter too. We get to see how Joffrey rules and just how utterly insane he is. So everyone at court is probably scared to death.
Of course. He's a nut job, and he was never taught. You have a spoiled brat who's also a psychopath, or at least a sociopath.
Mm-hmm.
And he was, I mean, Robert even says it. I never spent enough time. I never taught him how to be a man. So all he saw was the brutality of his father. He never saw someone who was actually a good king, a good person. He probably seen his dad beat his mom. That's why his mom told him never to hit his wife. But he just saw the strength of his father and that aggressive side of him. And I think he took it to the next level. He emulates that, but it's also from a kid's point of view. So it's a spoiled little shit's reaction to it.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Chop off his arm. Like, right now. Like, that's insane.
This
Fingers or tongue.
This chapter, though, is a very good character chapter because it really it develops Sansa quite a bit, and it fleshes out Clegane, Joffrey, and to some extent Meryn Trant.
Yes.
Mm.
So it's a very important development chapter.
I agree completely. And
there's no real, events in it other than Sansa being abused again,
right.
But full-blown character chapter, I'd say.
And I just always worry about poor Jayne Poole, what's going on with her. And another thing, she still holds on to the idea of if I jump out the window, they'll sing songs to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, what are you, the little bird that couldn't fly? You know, like she believes she's still going to be part of the legend of Westeros. And I wonder if George meant something by that. I've never thought of it till this exact moment. He always has her talking about songs and legends. I wonder if by the end she will be in songs and legends.
If you think about it, it would be a swan dive and then a swan song.
Oh, Stig.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
Well, one thing that struck me also about her explicitly recalling himself saying life is not a song, and I just was going, dude, the whole book is called, or series is called A Song of Ice and Fire. So I think there was supposed to be perhaps some irony there as well.
Right. Yeah. Sam says Cersei also enabled him to no end. And I think at the beginning, it was a mother enabling her son and trying to teach him not to be like his father, but yet not creating something even worse. But after he starts going and starts getting his own cojones, I think she fears him.
Yeah. And he is psychotic though. Like it's not, to me, this isn't just bad parenting. This is insanity. Like there's something really wrong with him.
Right.
Well, he actually takes more after his mother than his father.
I could see that too.
Oh yeah, he has the same insane entitlement. We are up here, you guys are down there.
Yeah.
And he's gotten that from his mom.
No, that's actually a really good point, man. Because she could be as vicious as Robert was, but in a so-called feminine way, of a woman of her time can be. I mean, the things she gets people to do, she does it on the quiet side.
Yeah.
I mean, she makes, again, I don't remember if it was the chapter before the next chapter, so I'm sorry, but it's still in this book. When they trade Jayne Poole off, she thinks of her as nothing, as lowbrow, like she's nothing. If you're not highborn, you're nothing to Cersei. And if you're highborn, you're now an adversary. You're not, she has no friends. She doesn't trust anybody. and she's not that great of a mother in the books as Lena Headey made her seem in the show.
Mhm.
You know, I at times don't think she even really believes, like she tries to believe she loves her kids, but I don't even know if she does.
Cersei is what you get if you put a Karen in charge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And Joffrey thinks he's clever. He is not clever. It's not even that he's clever. Yeah, I guess clever is the right word. Like he thinks he is just like, he gets that little, like he tells someone one thing and then chops a part of their body off and is like, haha, gotcha. You know, like he's snarky of some sort. I don't know what is the worst way we could say it, but that's what it is. Anything else in this chapter? We do see some of his ruling ability, right, Jayne? You were kind of bringing that up before.
Yeah, and another thing that sort of stood out to me was they specifically mentioned that as Sansa's standing up there and she's looking over the countryside, she starts thinking of Winterfell and draws strength from it.
Right. First.
That sort of stood out. And yeah, that preceded her decision to, temporary decision to throw them both off the bridge or whatever. So that was interesting.
And I sometimes go back and wonder if Lady was still alive, would she have even more strength?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes. She would.
Because a lot of the times the kids draw strength from their wolf dreams. They draw strength from their animal. They get senses from their animal. I mean, Dany feels stronger every time she has a dragon dream. You know, like I wonder if that's Sansa's weakness is because Lady was killed. She never gets that extra boost of that magical, like, go kick some ass.
Right.
I don't know. All right. Anybody have anything else on this one?
No, I think that's it. But now I'm all going, ooh, profound.
It is, right? It is. And Time Prophet says all teenagers think they're clever. That's true. That is very true. House Stark represents. Oh, Smooth Jams, man. How have you been? I haven't seen you in a while. Glad to see you're back. All right. So now we are going on to the Daenerys chapter. Are you ready, you bastard?
Yes, I am. And holy shit, this is not a synopsis. This is
not
the
at all.
Damn book.
This is a long one. You know what? It's worth it though, because a lot happens in this chapter.
Well, I'll just start.
All right.
In her dreams, Daenerys keeps hearing, "You do not want to wake the dragon, do you?" She is walking down a hall, her bare feet leaving bloody footprints. Suddenly, she is with Drogo under the open sky of the Dothraki Sea. Drogo is stroking her and waking her passion. And when he enters her, the stars are gone. Great wings fill the sky, and the world takes flame. Then she sees Ser Jorah's drawn and sorrowful face, telling her that the last dragon was Rhaegar Targaryen. While standing over a hot brazier containing red-hot stone eggs. In turn, he's replaced by Viserys, with his molten gold crown, screaming, "The dragon does not beg, slut, and I will be crowned." Then he painfully pinches her nipples, and suddenly Daenerys is frantically running to a distant red door. That is her salvation. She knows that the darkness is there, but she does not dare to look back, or she will be lost. She sees her son as a grown warrior, proud and tall, before flames consume him. Then the ghosts of kings are lining up the hallway, urging her to go faster. Then she is flying over the Dothraki Sea, and all are fleeing before her. She finally throws open the red door to see her brother Rhaegar, the last dragon, in his armor. But when she opens his visor, she sees her own face. Daenerys wakes to the taste of ashes, while Jikwi, with Jikwi standing over her. Her body hurts very much. She calls for something but does not know what Jikwi says. But does not know what. Sorry, Jikwi says yes and bolts from the tent shouting. When they return, Daenerys is crawling towards her dragon eggs. Ser Jorah carries her back to bed and tells her to sleep. And then Mirri Maz Duur gives her something in a cup. A dreamless sleep takes her. It is dark when Daenerys wakes again. She calls for her handmaidens, and they attend her. They tell her that she's been sick for a long time. Then Mirri Maz Duur gives her wine, and she falls asleep asking for a dragon egg. The next time she wakes, Daenerys has her pale dragon's egg in her arms, and it is warm. There is a fine sheen of perspiration on her that she names Dragon's Dew. There is no fever, and she feels strong. She calls for her handmaidens and asks for a bath. Mirri Maz Duur, Ser Jorah, Drogo, and her child. Her handmaidens avoid answering about Drogo and her child, and Daenerys knows that her child is dead. Mirri Maz Duur and Ser Jorah enter to find Daenerys standing over the other eggs, which are all warm. However, when asked, Ser Jorah does not feel the heat from the eggs. Ser Jorah looks gaunt and limp from his wounds. He tells Daenerys that her son never lived, but Mirri Maz Duur tells her that the child was monstrous, lizard-like, with scales. His skin fell off, revealing a body filled with grave worms and the stink of corruption, and as if he had been dead for years. She states that her son was strong when Ser Jorah brought her into the tent. Mirri Maz Duur explains that death was in the tent and the shadows touched her. Daenerys realizes that Ser Jorah killed her child by taking her into the tent for love and loyalty to her. Daenerys states that she had thought the life of the horse would be payment enough, and is told that was a lie she told herself. Daenerys is not sure if she knew. Daenerys realizes that the life of the horse, her son, Quaro, Quotho, Hago, and Koholo, paid for the life of Drogo. She asks to see what the price bought. Ser Jorah cannot dissuade her and has to help her stand since she is weaker than she thought. Outside in the glaring sun, Daenerys can see there is little left. A scattering of tents, a few score of horses, and perhaps 100 people. They are old, frightened, and sick. Jogo reminds her that a Khal who cannot ride is no Khal. She learns that Pono declared himself Khal first, then Jacko after him. They took most of the riders, the herds, and the slaves because Daenerys' own cause was too weak to stop them. It is the right of the strong to take from the weak. Most of the rest left during the following nights. Mago, now a blood rider, to call Jacko, seized Hero, whom Daenerys had denied him, and raped and murdered her. Daenerys repeats her mantra, "If I look back, I am lost." And she swears that Mago and Jacko will die screaming. Eerie warns her that Jacko now has 20,000 riders, but Daenerys insists that she is the blood of the dragon. Then she asks to see Drogo. Drogo lies unmoving, unseeing, and covered in blood flies. Daenerys asks why he is outside alone, and Ser Jorah explains that he seems to like the warmth and is staring at the sun with eyes that cannot see. He will follow where led and eat if food is put in his mouth, but otherwise does nothing. Daenerys faces Mirri Maz Duur, who insists that Drogo is alive. Daenerys responds that such is not the life for a man that was alive, that was as alive as Drogo. Then Daenerys asks Mirri Maz Duur when Drogo will be as he was, and the Magi replies, "When the sun rises in the west and sets in the east, when the seas go dry and mountains blow in the wind like leaves, when your womb quickens again and you bear a living child, then he will return and not before." Daenerys sends the others away and accuses Mirri Maz Duur of cheating her and murdering her child. Mirri Maz Duur replies that it was wrong of the Khalasar to burn her temple, and now the stallion who mounts the world will burn no cities and trample no nations. Daenerys reminds the Magi that she saved her, but Mirri Maz Duur asks what Daenerys saved when 3 warriors had already raped her and burned her home and temple, and cut off the heads of her neighbors and friends. Daenerys insists that she saved her life, but the Magi tells her to look at her call and see what life is worth when all else is gone. Daenerys orders her men to bind Mirri Maz Duur and take her away. The woman only smiles at her. Daenerys orders Drogo brought into her tent. She bathes him herself and washes his hair until darkness falls. She thinks of their first ride beneath the open sky, and of where they made Rhaego. She is too raw from the miscarriage for intercourse, but she uses other means in attempt to use the magic of love to bring Drogo back. It does not work, and her husband remains comatose. When dawn breaks, Daenerys kisses Drogo for the last time, then smothers him with a soft silk pillow. The end.
Wow. First of all, those names are freaking hard. So good for you for trying. Pogo, Jogo, all those names.
Yeah, sound like the Teletubbies gang or something.
They are. They are a tough group to talk about. But that is a crazy chapter. There's dragon dreams and sickness, fever dreams. I guess they're more fever dreams than anything, but there is a dragon dream. I believe in it. What do you think there, Stig? Where should we start?
Well, Daenerys tried to shag Drogo when it was a vegetable as well.
I know. I totally forgot about that part.
Yeah. Then she's like, "Oh, this doesn't work," so she kills him.
Yeah, I know. Well, he's not going to get erect anymore. He's done. But she tried with the power of love.
Yeah. Didn't work.
Right. Did not work. There's a lot going on here.
It's like when she gets that feeling, he needs sexual healing.
Oh,
my
sexual
gosh.
healing, baby. It's good for Danny. Sexual. Okay. What do you think, Jayne Theory? Are you there?
Oh, can you hear me? Sorry.
Now I can hear you. Yeah, no, you can turn your mic on.
Yeah, right. I was saying that there were a couple of surprises in this chapter.
All right.
One of them was that Jorah saw the shadows. I had completely forgotten about that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it raises the question we had before about why would you take her in the tent?
Right.
You see the scary stuff.
Right.
Actually, Tauriel mentioned a while back that when Daenerys went into that tent, right? Some of those shadows might have gotten into her. And that's what killed the baby.
Turning the baby into this wretched thing.
Yeah, because the description of the baby matches the shadows that they saw in the tent.
The Burning Man and stuff like that. I don't know.
Well,
Yeah, I would have
demonic shapes and all.
Yeah.
But
That's interesting.
Mary also practically acknowledges that it was the child, that the child was supposed to be the sacrifice and not the horse.
Mm-hmm.
And But she wasn't clear. Now, granted, we said this before. Dany didn't ask enough questions
Exactly.
before doing this. But I don't know. Did she know that it would be her child that she was sacrificing? I don't think so.
No.
It's one thing that always struck me though, that Mirri Maz Duur was supposed to be like this caring healer, but she sure as heck isn't caring in this chapter. She did this on purpose, and I'm not even sure if it was vengeance, because Daenerys hadn't done anything to her.
Well,
So she basically just, sacrificed Daenerys' kid to Satan, basically.
Yeah.
But think about it this way. Wasn't she captured?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she tries to tell that to Dany, and Dany doesn't even understand. Like, she's like, yeah, you stopped after the third rape. Like, I was about to get raped a fourth time. Thanks for that. And, I watched your Khal and his men kill my baker, kill the little boy, a young boy I just healed a couple weeks before. Like, she breaks it down, and Dany doesn't register it at all. All she sees is, I helped you and you screwed me. And Mirri Maz Duur's like, you didn't help me with anything. You destroyed my world. And now this is what you get, a destroyed world.
Well, Daenerys, obviously, though, even to Mirri Maz Duur, didn't do this. It was Drogo.
Of course.
But she's the wife of Drogo, though, and she's carrying a child of that. There's no distinguishment between them.
And she also wouldn't care. I mean, it's just like a slave burning down a slave master's house and killing everyone inside. You're not going to care about any of them at that point.
Yeah, fair enough. I also noticed that Mirri Maz Duur tends to have a bit of the same powers as someone in book 2.
Yes.
And she tends to speak a bit like that person as well.
And also learned in the same place, don't forget. Went to the same place as Shy.
Yeah.
Both of them.
So I'm thinking
I think there's a connection.
I think her explanation is a bit thin.
Yes.
Because I think she's doing this. What she did was part of a deliberate, bigger plan.
To put Dany on a trail, on a path. I believe I said that last week. I believe things happen to Dany. Because think about it. Okay, so the horse gets sacrificed. Then Dany goes in. Jorah brings Dany in. Why does Jorah and Dany both get to walk out, and it's just the baby that gets killed? You know what I mean? Like, if Mirri Maz Duur really wanted revenge, she would have had them all been part of the sacrifice. But
also, the baby has king's blood.
I see.
Yes,
yeah. And that was the firstborn son of the king that killed all her family and stuff. So it would make sense for her to take it out on the baby.
Right, but Dany also has Valyrian blood, which is king's blood too. So, I mean, if she really wanted,
but she didn't see the Valyrians as being the ones that raped her. It was the call people.
Oh, I understand that, but it's just the way she explains it is very thin. She could easily have been like, look, I told you people stay out of the tent. Just like I told your Khal not to take the bandage off, not to drink wine. But she pretty much allows them to make her the bad guy. And she smiles when she leaves, knowing that she got them to do exactly what she needed them to do.
But how could
she needs Dany?
How could she predict it? Because that goes back to what we were saying before about they didn't do what she told them to do. So
she knew.
Maybe she had like some sort of psychic future power things that has to do with kind of what you were saying.
Seeing things in the flames.
Well, seeing things in the flames is one thing, but also you think the Khal is not going to drink wine? You think she did exactly what she knew he would not do. He didn't even want her to help him. So that's why she did. She could have easily, she's a healer. She could have bandaged him up in a way that was like, if you take it off tomorrow, you probably will be all right. It's a freaking cut, your nipple, whatever. But she made it like you have to keep this on for a certain amount of time. Wine, poppies, you can't have any of that stuff. And all that stuff Khal Drogo loves. It's almost like she knew he would screw that up. The one thing that I don't understand, if the baby was always the sacrifice, how did she know Dany was going to enter the tent?
Exactly.
Could it have been that Dani never even had to enter the tent. It was always going to happen, no matter if she went in the tent or not.
Well, like I said, she could have foreseen it in the flame.
Right.
Well, one thing that did happen was that Dani couldn't say, "Don't bring me in the tent." So maybe she silenced her in some way?
She was trying. I know she was trying to say it.
She was trying,
there
but no
too much-
words came out.
No words came out, exactly.
Also, we don't know what Miriam Azdur told Jorah,
Oh,
True.
because he could have been duped.
that's true.
Well, and don't forget, because Jorah does say the baby was dead, and Mary Mazdul changes that a little bit and starts explaining what the baby looked like. Now, Jorah doesn't say she's wrong, but he seems to be also sick and in shock himself.
Mhm.
I wonder if it was as bad as Mary Mazdul is saying it, or if she's saying it just to hurt Dani even more. You know, like,
Or
I don't know.
he realizes, shit, what have I done? She duped
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go
I
ahead.
do have a question though. I want to just to go back a little bit. When the baby was okay and it was whatever the spirits did that turned it into a weird, creepy, freaky thing, or was was the baby always that?
No, they said the baby was strong when he walked in that tent.
Mhm.
Right?
Okay,
That was like
just double
the
checking.
wording.
Yeah, well, because the baby could be strong and be a demon child too. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, in the history of the Targaryens, this has happened not as severe, but a lot of maybe it's because of all the incest. But some of the babies come out stillborn and they have, like scales or a tail, or this is more by far worse than any of them having, worms and things like that. That had, Stig, now that you say it, Tauriel said it had to be the shadows entering Dani, because how the hell would a baby be strong and then have all these worms and skin that falls off and
because every time there's shadows involved, it involves some kind of death. It seems to be involved with death, like sucking
and a certain god.
life, and the life force out of someone in a sense, So I'm
And
thinking,
don't forget, a certain god is light, but he's also shadow.
yeah.
So I really think that's something you're onto there. And I just believe maybe she didn't realize the tool she was, but I believe she was meant to be put in Dani's path and put her on a path.
Yeah, and to be fair, we don't know if she's telling the truth, if she's lived there all her life.
Yep.
Right.
And Dani did say that Jorah, well, she believes that Jorah was affected by the shadows too, based on how he looks.
All gone and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And she also mentioned that, well, from her perspective, Jorah fed her baby to the darkness.
Right.
And
Actually,
walking in that
feels
tent fed
way
him.
too.
Actually, Jayne caught something there with the gauntness, because the gauntness happens later in
to
the
somebody
story
else
to someone else who is involved with
that gets his life. Oh my God! Yes.
shadow production.
Yes.
Oh wow!
I never ever put that together.
Oh my God!
Could she have pulled shadows from him? Oh wow!
Oh wow!
Actually,
But do you
maybe
think they did it in the same way? Bow chicka wow wow.
There might be more ways to do it.
No, there has to be. I don't think they had time. Wow, that's a good one, Stig.
That is epic.
That might be something to talk about on a different
because
stream.
we don't know for sure what went on in that tent.
Oh wow!
Right, because Dani blacks out, and there's chaos going around everywhere. So no one was going to enter that tent.
Who knows if? What if those shadows came out of her?
Ooh.
I think
Yes.
they did. I think they did.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
That would mess up the baby.
Because don't forget, the shadows have faces.
Yeah.
Other shadows had faces. Wow.
Yeah, and if she's already pregnant and she's then pregnant with a shadow, that thing would feed off
Yeah.
what's
Sam
already there.
says something here that he's not the first person to say that to me, and I've kind of thought that too, that Mary Mazdul, it's not literal. She's just telling how, describing a terrible deformity, but adding like extra to it. But like the idea of the worms, that's the part that made me think she's just trying to hurt Danny, because how the hell would work, unless these shadows enter
Flesh
her.
falling off.
Yeah.
Like a rotting corpse.
Yeah,
Like a rotting corpse.
decay and
which ties into the gauntness in a sense, because what happens if shadows feeds on someone for too long, you get gaunt and then your skin falls off, I assume.
Oh my God. So what if she was when the baby, okay, Danny mentions that the baby was kicking and healthy and strong. Maybe that's why it was kicking, because it was having the life pulled out of it.
Oh shit!
Truly, before she entered the tent,
or even scared to go in the tent.
Yeah.
Also, a side note: this is a very fucked up conversation. Just saying.
Yes, it is. It is really messed up.
Adam
Price says a good thing right here, though. Miri Maz was a moon singer, and she at least studied it in Ashai, the religion that prophesied the escaped Valerian slaves would found Bravo. So they do have seeing powers, and they also were people that disliked the Valerians for what they did to the people in the 14 Flames tunnels or whatever, the slaves that were digging under Valeria. So this could be a deeper thing than we even know. Mary Mazdul, this could have been something that, her people have been fighting the Valerians since, Valeria was still standing. So I never thought of that. She is a moon singer. She did say something to that when they first met, learning about stuff in Ashai. Now, that's some crazy stuff. And we also still have like her dreams to talk about, because there's a lot that went on there.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's
now
insane.
the first dream she had, she has two dreams, right? Do you still have the thing up? I know the second dream is where she sees herself as the last dragon.
She has one involving Jorah and Viserys, and Jorah tells her, the last dragon was Rhaegar Targaryen, and then she enters a red door.
Red door.
Yeah, and she sees Rhaegar, and he's wearing armor, and she lifts the visor, and it's her, which I think, she's the last dragon now, right? That's pretty much what she's dreaming.
Well, she does. There's one part where she's like saying or dreaming, like, you're not the dragon. You're not the dragon. You're not the dragon. You are the dragon. The dragon. And at one point, all she does is wake up. I think she asks for wine. And the next they see her, she's crawling to the eggs are calling her. There is a force, something, maybe by entering that tent, it awakened more magic around them. And her subconscious is telling her to get those dragon eggs. And let's not forget, in the history of Westeros, dragon eggs were put in the cribs with babies that they wanted to hatch. And there's a connection. And at one point she's actually holding one, and it's warm to the touch. She has that dragon dew on her face, like sweat, because it was so warm. But when anybody else touched it, they didn't feel anything. So she felt the magical heat from that egg.
Here's a thought, though. Those dreams she has at the beginning, how do we know they don't happen during the events of the inside of the tent?
The what now? Say that one more time.
The first part of her dreams, right? First part of the chapter. We don't know when it's happening, because she's basically feverish, right?
That's
right,
true.
and she's been out for a while.
Yeah, because she feels someone pinching her nipples and stuff, and could be that happened in the tent, actually.
Right. It was actually the shadows doing it, but she sees Viserys,
or
stuff like that.
It could be Jorah.
Yeah, being possessed.
And that red door, though, she seems to be running for a red door, and that's her salvation. She's very clear on that.
Right. It's not even just her salvation. When she goes through the red door, she finds herself.
She
Yeah,
also sees the flames consuming her son. So
Oh,
I think
right.
you're
She
right.
sees him all copper and strong with silver hair, and then the flames take him. Now,
yeah.
don't forget, the other part of the shadow is flames. That's what
Right.
creates the shadow.
Exactly.
It's so funny how we could talk about it with not trying to talk about future stuff, because we could easily explain what we're saying, but it's kind of nice to try to say it without spoiling.
Yeah, and to be fair though, this little mystery isn't.
Mhm.
It's always kept pretty far to the fringes of the story.
Yes.
So even if we were talking spoilers, we couldn't spoil that much because we simply don't know for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Some speculation.
That's
too.
what's great about the prophecies and stuff. The visions. You just don't know.
Right. There's something that Danny said in this chapter, and I was just trying to find it. It's something about her heart or her feelings being I feel like they've been burned or something to that effect. In like the last Ned chapter, he says something to the effect of my heart or my emotions are ice. Like right before he gets. It's just something that caught me on both of those too, but I can't remember the exact wording of it. I'll have to try to find that another time. But
then of course the whole thing that the sword is ice too.
Right.
It's all ice.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I thought there was some type of ice thing going on in one of her dreams, but when you read the summary, I didn't hear it. But she almost, like, at one point when she sees the wings, I always thought it was her. She doesn't realize she had the wings. She was the dragon until she sees herself as the dragon. The last dragon as a Valerian, but also becoming a dragon. It's quite interesting.
Yeah. Oh,
Or
gosh.
is she becoming the dragon because they did something to her?
Like it awakened something, right?
Or something was put in her, like the
thing
that gets put into someone else in another book.
Interesting. Right. So if I'm hearing y'all correctly, we're thinking that everything that we think about with Danny and all that magic stuff and all that, it was actually stuff that happened because of what happened in the tent. And if the tent thing hadn't happened, it would not have occurred.
Yeah, even if we don't go that deep with it, none of it would have occurred if she didn't go in that tent.
Wow.
None of her journey would occur. That's why I think it was meant to happen. And somebody is guiding Mary Mazdul to not explain away what happened. She could easily have been like, I told him not to bring you in the tent, and I thought this would have worked, and I told him not to take the bandit. Like, she could easily, Danny would have believed her because she wanted to believe her. But Mary Mazdul is just like, nope, I did it. And then she smiles on the way out, like, I know you have to do what you have to do now to me.
Yeah,
and she's a sacrifice.
Oh no, she's goading her into doing it.
Yes, yes. Yeah,
because
better word. Thank you.
Mary Mazdur is there for a reason. When that reason is done, her role will be served.
Yep. Unbelievable, right?
So you're saying it's also more than revenge that she's getting in there, that there's something far more.
Yeah, I think it's she's a pawn being used in a tactical move.
Right.
Yes.
For her personally, it could be revenge, but there's a great scheme afoot here.
There's something bigger.
I
do like what these guys real quick are talking about. Actually, let's finish what you were about to say, and then I'll go back to it.
Yeah, well, if we look at other people that are part of a certain religion, they never put any of their own personal needs in front of anything. It's always for the good of whatever they're serving.
Right.
So I think Miriam Mazdur is doing what she's told, and she's pressing the right buttons in Daenerys to make sure everything goes as planned.
Right.
And I'll talk about that a little bit.
A little later, right.
in the next Danny chapter, because that's when it,
Mhm.
Yeah.
my little theory kicks in.
Mhm.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I think for the next book, we're going to do at least 4 chapters time, but 4 or 5, because we were talking about it. It's like, 8 months a book is going a little long. I love it, but I want to hold people's attention. But something these guys are talking about here, I really like. Tyrion, everyone from like Dorne, like the Red Viper, thought they were coming to see a monster child, this beast, and it turned out to just be a little baby boy. But everyone described Tyrion as a monstrous beast, even as a baby. And I wonder if that's what, he might have been deformed, but they just explain it in terms that they know how to explain it. Was he really a dragon with worms in him, or was it something different? We have seen characters with worms in them before, though, but they fought those fire worms, so that's a different story altogether.
I think the description that we got, or that Daenerys got, was exaggerated to get a reaction.
Right, to hurt her.
But I think too, if it's true that, because there's so many theories now at this point, but if it's true that the shadow, at least part of them or some of them or one of them, came from the child, then it could have super aged the child and literally disintegrated it, turned it as a body would disintegrate.
Right.
Like rapid aging syndrome.
Yeah, basically.
Right. And let's not forget, there was blood magic. Blood magic was involved, so it's not going to be just a normal deformity. If there was true blood magic, which there was, I believe there's definitely blood magic in this moment. And Mary Mazdul is the only one we have seen use real magic yet.
Or it could be shadow creature trying to merge with the baby and it just doesn't work.
It didn't work. That could be it too. And then just real quick, because someone's talking about like bones. This is so off topic, but the idea, a lot of people believe the idea of the Cyclops comes from woolly mammoth skulls, because the skull looks like it has one huge eye, and the way they sometimes found them on islands in Greece, it would look like it was a giant beast with this one eye, and that's where they got the idea of a Cyclops. Or there was real Cyclops. You don't know. Very interesting stuff in this one. And I like how Dany is so weak, crawling for these eggs, calling for these eggs. But the minute she wakes up with an egg in her arms, she's strong and powerful. And that goes to a discussion we had a different time about which dragon Dany really controls. Like, they all kind of listen to her, but she doesn't. There's the big one seems to do what he wants. And I realized when she woke up, she wasn't holding the black and red one. She was holding the white one. And isn't that the one she calls Viserys, or is that Rhaegar or Rhaegar? I forget, but it's kind of interesting that it's not the black one she's holding and she gains strength from. It's a white one.
So, yeah, I'm thinking the black one is meant for someone who's maybe has black things.
Yes, sir.
In
their life. Yes. I think that solidified it for me just there, hearing that again.
Yeah.
Wow. That was a good chapter. All
black
right.
things, and there's pine trees and a river that's cold in there, and then there, that guy.
Yeah.
How disturbing, though, was all this? I mean, I get very disturbed by every aspect of this part of the story.
Oh, this is a rough chapter, just the descriptions, but there's some that are even. So this is more of like a grotesque horror type thing.
Yeah.
When we discuss Jane Poole in future books, it's one of the most. Her story is the most tragic of anybody in these books, and the descriptions of things the quote she says, like, makes me like feel for a make-believe character. Like, I almost want to like, oh my God, that's so horrible type shit. So wait till we get to that.
horror is probably the most difficult things to write,
Mhm.
really, because you can do it if you describe too much. It's like, if you're watching a movie and you see the monster too often and too well.
Right.
But
Right.
George
kills
has actually
the,
written. He's actually written horror books before he started Game of Thrones.
Mm.
Right.
There's a very good one called Fever Dream. I suggest you read it. It's
Oh.
actually very cool. And it's October,
Kinda.
so
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of relates to what we just were talking about too.
Right.
Yeah. To me, I think a lot of the horror of it also comes from the fact that we're dealing with a baby. Yeah,
Yes.
that is
Unborn baby too. And,
yeah, completely helpless, and to have that
and
horror,
Stig,
that horrible thing
right.
happen.
And Stig saying the thing about him kicking too before he entered the tent, like either being already something entering him or him
Ugh.
somehow knowing something bad's going to happen was like, oh my God, that breaks me.
Yeah. It's like, mommy, don't do it. Yeah, but he was helpless.
yeah, and it's the reason why you get a reaction like that, and you keep noticing new eerie stuff, is because it's so damn well written.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. I mean, he's my favorite writer of all time, and it amazes me how he can explain something and I get it.
Yeah, and you always discover new stuff every damn time you read.
Yep.
No, it's
And
amazing.
the fact that he's able to get a reaction like that out of me as well, is because he was. He knows how to F
Right.
with us, doesn't he?
Yeah, and if you think about it, there's 4 people on this panel, and all of us notice different things,
Yes.
and everyone's like, "Oh,
I think
yeah,
George
that's
means
cool."
that, right?
Yeah,
Because the
It's,
funny thing is I sometimes think like Stig will say something, I'll say something, you two will say something, and we all got a piece of what George was trying to say. That's how good of a writer he is. I don't know. It is it's pretty amazing. Anything else with this chapter, or we get on to the next one?
I think that's it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's hope I don't go robotic.
this was definitely what I call an event chapter.
Yeah. Yes. All right. So this is Tyrion 9. The army has just returned to the inn at the Crossroads, or is it the stream at the Crossroads, when a messenger arrives with word of Sir Jaime Lannister's capture and the defeat of his army at Riverrun. Lord Tywin is upset that the Starks have his son. The news makes Tyrion think back on their grueling countermarch. After realizing that Robb Stark had split his forces, Lord Tywin set a grueling pace back towards the Trident in an attempt to reach Riverrun before the Starks. They left the bodies of the weak and the wounded in their wake every day, and it was all for nothing. Robb Stark has beaten them there by many days. Sir Harris Swift bemoans Jaime's decision to split his army into 3 camps, but Sir Kevin Lannister explains calmly that Riverrun's position at the fork of the Tumblestone and the Red Fork force any besieger to do just that, placing one army north of the Tumblestone, one south of the Red Fork, and one between the 2 rivers to the west. Jaime, what am I saying here? Jaime's army had no warning. Few of their outriders returned, and those who did had seen nothing. The blame for their disappearance fell on a small raiding force commanded by Mark Piper, and Jaime rode out personally to deal with them in the Whispering Woods and did not return. Robb's force attacked the north camp first during the night. The Blackfish led the attack, cutting down the sentries. When Lord Andros Brax saw that the northern camp was under attack, he led the men of the western camp across the Tumblestone in rafts to join the battle. However, the current pushed them downstream into range of the catapults of River Run. Many of the rafts were sunk or overturned, and Lord Brax was drowned by his heavy plate armor. Those few who reached the far bank found the enemy waiting for them. Sir Flement Brax, Lord Brax's son, is disquinted to hear of the death of his father. He's pissed. The camp between the river was overwhelmed as well. While Lord Brax was attempting to cross, 2 columns of armored horse swept in from the west, led by Robb Stark himself with his direwolf at his side. A few Lannisters' pikemen managed to hold against the first charge, but Lord Titus Blackwood led a sortie from River Run to take them from the rear. Great John Umber fired the siege towers, and Lord Blackwood liberated the prisoners, including Sir Edmure Tully. The South Camp, under the command of Sir Farley Prester, was able to retreat in good order back towards the Golden Tooth with 2,000 spear and as many bowmen. But the Tyrish sellswords in the camp struck their banners and went over to the enemy's side. Kevin cursed Jaime for not heeding his warning about mercenaries. Sir Harry's exclaims that all is lost. Jaime's host is all destroyed or put to flight, and the Starks and Tully now stand astride their supply line. Lord Tywin's host off from the supplies and their homeland. Robb Stark can even march on Casterly Rock if he wishes. Sir Harris insists that they must sue for peace. At that, Tyrion shattered his wine cup against the wall, declaring that Sir Harris will have better luck drinking from his broken cup than making peace with Robb Stark now that Joffrey has beheaded Eddard Stark. Sir Adam Marbrand insists that 2 battles do not make a war, while Lord Leo Lefford suggests a truce in exchange of prisoners. Tyrion only scoffs that the Starks hold far more prisoners than they do, and that Eddard Stark's head will not get their brother Jaime back. Robb is winning. When Lefford mentioned that they hold Robb's sisters, Marbrand states that only an utter fool would exchange 2 girls for Jaime. Tyrion also shoots down Lefford's suggestion of a monetary ransom, declaring that the Starks can melt Jaime's armor if they need gold. Sir Harris then suggests that they get their friends in the court to join them and raise a new host at Casterly Rock. Lord Tywin has been even quieter than usual. After reiterating that they have his son, Tywin orders everyone but Tyrion and Kevin out. Tyrion is going to ask for wine, but his father gives him his untouched. Lord Tywin tells Tyrion that he was right about Eddard Stark. Alive, Eddard could have been used to bargain a peace and buy time to deal with Robert's brothers. Tywin states the execution was madness and rebuffs Tyrion's attempt to excuse Joffrey for his youth, though at least Joffrey did not marry a whore. Lord Tywin explains that, Lord Tywin explains that Varys has heard reports that Renly Baratheon has wed Margaery Tyrell and declared himself king, with all the might of Highgarden and Storm's End behind him. Lord Tywin also informs them that Cersei has commanded him to march to defend King's Landing. Tyrion can tell that Tywin is not happy about being commanded. Cersei has not told Joffrey of Renly's claim, fearing her son will insist on leading the city watch against Renly and leaving the city undefended against Stannis Baratheon. Lord Tywin admits that from the beginning he has considered Stannis the most dangerous, and yet the Lord of Dragonstone has done nothing. Varys has only heard whispers that Stannis is building a fleet, hiring sellswords, and seeking the counsel of a Shadowbinder from a Shy. Jesus is long. Tywin then details their position on the map. While Jaime's defeat, they are in a bad situation. Roose Bolton remnants are to the north. Enemies hold the Twins and Moat Cailin, and Robb Stark is to the west, so they cannot retreat to Lannisport without giving battle. While Jaime's army has ceased to exist, and Beric Dondarrion and Thoros Emir plague the foraging parties, then there are Dragonstone, Storm's End, and Highgarden to the south calling their banners. Tyrion's just that at least Rhaegar Targaryen is still dead goes unappreciated. If they remain where they are, they might get caught between 3 armies. Tywin explains that he plans to go to Harrenhal to confront Robb Stark. Sir Adam Marbrand will screen their movements, while Gregor Clegane, Vargo Hoat, and Sir Armory Lorch, with 300 men each, will set fire to the Riverlands south of the Red Fork. Once Sir Kevin leaves to issue the orders, Lord Tywin offers to let Tyrion's clansmen ride with Vargo Hoat, but Tyrion wishes to keep them close. Lord Tywin insists that Tyrion must learn to control them then, because he will not have King's Landing pillaged. Tyrion does not understand until his father explains that he is sending him to court to act as hand of the king and clean up the mess Cersei and the small council have created. Lord Tywin goes on to rant about the raising of Janos Slynt, the dishonoring of Sir Barristan Selmy, who lent honor to any man he served, and the appointment of the Hound to the Kingsguard. He also tasks Tyrion with bringing Joffrey under control if Cersei continues to fail, and give instruction to execute any counselor who plays Tyrion false. When Tyrion asks why he is being sent, Tywin states it's because Tyrion is his son. Tyrion, however, thinks it's because Tywin has given up on Jaime for lost, and he leaves. Tywin commands that Tyrion is not to take the whore to court. Tyrion sits for a long while in the common room before going to his bed with Shae, whispering that he is off of a mind to take her to King's Landing. All right, who wants to jump in on that one?
Well, we're seeing it all being set up for all the people getting into their other Game of Thrones, all the people that are wanting to take over the king thing. We have Renly marrying Marjorie. So now we know what that was all about earlier when he was wanting to talk about with Ned. Like, you think this chick looks like Lyanna. Though, have they explained that in this yet? That was his hope, a little bit, that he decided to marry Marjorie himself once Robert was dead.
I think we talked about that before, but I can't remember if that was
Yeah. Okay,
I've been talking for like 2 minutes. I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was muted. Yes, that was a definite. The first was for Robert. When Robert died, he took on Marjorie himself.
Yeah. And so now he's after marrying him. So now that we know that the Taurels are going to be calling for King Renly, and a little bit with Robb Stark in the background with Tywin, he's perhaps seeing that they might be kind of royally FEUCKED'd a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what struck me about this chapter, though? You could easily have placed it before the prologue in Book 2 as a previously on Game of Thrones, because this chapter pretty much sets up Book 2.
Yes.
It's just reminding us where the pieces are, and they're there. These are allies. This is what's happening there. And,
yeah, I mean, Stig, when you say this is like a setup chapter, I think this is the biggest setup chapter of telling everyone what is going on in all of Westeros, pretty much, except for Dorne. You hear about everywhere, pretty much. Dorne and the Iron Islands. That's it. Yeah. It's the only ones you don't hear about.
Yeah, it's a complete setup chapter.
Oh, you're right. It could also be, like you said, like previously on Game of Thrones, but also it could also be, okay, kids, at the end of the chapter, now let's all talk about what we have learned. So it serves us both. Yeah,
they're pretty much just listing up where all the pieces on the board are, and who's allied with who. We can't trade this for that because Joffrey did that stupid thing, and then Tywin actually goes through all the dumb stuff Cersei and Joffrey's done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they're basically explaining the whole situation to the audience.
Yeah.
And
explaining where they went wrong.
We also get some insight into Tywin and how he regards his family, because he's written off Cersei, obviously. He's now written off Jaime. And so Tyrion's left, and he's giving him responsibility and instructions and guidance for what
Right.
he needs to do next as head of the
But
family.
see now, let's not forget, Jayne, though, this is from Tyrion's view. Tywin is actually giving him this because he realizes how sharp of a mind Tyrion is, how he knows how to play the game. But Tyrion doesn't. I don't think Tyrion sees that. There is one thing, too, that I wanted to bring up. We get 3 guys' names that will be very important in future books. We already know who Gregor Clegane is, but Varya Hoat in the Bloody Murmurs and Sir Armory Lorch. Those 3 men are some of the worst people in the book. And just remember those in the books to come. So just remember those names. He unleashes them on the Riverlands. I mean, Tywin's going for broke. He's not playing by any rules now.
He didn't have any choice now.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
That's 900 men. Well, he's smart. That's 900 men just to cause havoc so he could deal with something else.
But this is also a lion trapped in a corner. I mean, Robb has been winning. So he has this is it. This is his play. Now he's going to confront Robb and burn everything else to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I didn't
because we
quite
go
realize.
back to what you guys. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I didn't quite realize, perhaps until looking at this, how close the Lannisters came to being annihilated.
Oh God, yeah. A few mistakes or a few different moves, and this would be a completely different story. There's so many of those moments in these books. Yeah, that's a good. So, yeah, Teresa, if you go on with that, so you see that, is this the moment where you see they were almost, or they still could be annihilated?
Well, yeah. Just the fact that they're completely surrounded, that it really doesn't, as Jayne said, he's a lion that's cornered. It's like by what Cersei did, or rather Joffrey and Cersei too, that this could have been it. That if it had gone even slightly differently, I'm trying not to go ahead into the second book, at least from what I know from the TV show, but heck, Renly could have run at this point. Now that he's with the Tyrells.
I mean, he has Highgarden and Storm's End. That is huge. That is huge.
This is so far. Sorry.
Right. I'm sorry. I'm delayed just a half second. So if you hear me, I'll stop quick when you're still talking.
Oh, no worries. Go ahead.
Okay. The thing I notice is that, Tywin says it. He was most worried about Stannis, and Stannis hasn't made a move yet, which he finds, that gives Renly that chance to get all the Stormlords under his wing. And I think Stannis already realized that because his brother screwed him out of Storm's End, Robert. Mm-hmm. But for him not to move, we only hear whispers of Stannis in this book. And this is one of those moments where one of the greatest generals, Tywin, is admitting that this guy worries me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if you think about it, if Robert hadn't been petty and Stannis had been given Storm's End, the Lannisters would have been in deep shit right now.
Right now. Because Stannis would have moved already.
Oh, immediately.
Immediately. He wouldn't have had to marry anyone.
Nope. He would have had a massive army right off the bat.
Yep. And you're absolutely right on that. Absolutely right. And I do want to go back to what I think it was either Jayne or Teresa said. You see Tywin break down the mess that his grandson and daughter have created for them. How can you trade Ned's head for Jaime Lannister, or who the hell would ever trade Jaime Lannister for 2 girls?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was good.
Or all the I mean, he says that the Starks have more prisoners than they do, so you can't get anybody back at this point.
If it's a time of war, and Jaime is a very competent warrior. So, to be fair, he is worth more than 2 small girls at this time.
Yeah.
Right. Crazy.
That was just a dumb move. Why would you kill Ned?
Well, because he's crazy.
Because he's a psycho, like you said, or a sociopath. One of the two. He's more of a psycho, I guess.
I think he's a psychopath.
I think it was. I think it was a case of him being completely overwhelmed with eagerness to be king.
Right,
So
and show his power.
Yeah, that's what happened.
And don't forget, someone could have been in his ear that whole time telling him, you have to do this. And we get a mention of certain guy in this chapter, in the first chapter with Sansa. It's kind of funny you hear about him in both chapters, but we haven't seen him in a while.
Oh, someone that's bald?
No, you're talking about Peter, Littlefinger,
Littlefinger,
right?
yeah, Littlefinger.
Yeah, the only one who was silent.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I'm thinking a bald fellow might benefit from it too, long term.
But he spoke out, and he never does that.
Yeah, he did, and he made sure people saw it too.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
Because he wants someone else to sit on the throne.
That's true.
Oh,
these chapters are just so good.
Actually, if you think about it, out of everyone that's warring for the crown, Varys doesn't want any of them on it.
No.
So why not have them kill themselves, right?
Right.
Or kill each other, rather.
Yeah. Do what you need to do to stay alive,
Yeah.
but also don't do enough that you're supporting either or any of them. At least at this moment, we don't know who he supports. I know he does. Yeah. You could tell he wouldn't want Joffrey on.
Yeah, and he keeps undermining the other factions in turn.
Yep. Because you're right. He was very obvious protesting Ned being executed.
Yeah, and he's never that obvious about anything. Yeah,
exactly.
It's never obvious about anything.
Oh, good point. It was almost out of character for him to do that.
Or like a mummer.
Yeah,
an act.
Like it would be exactly what some stage actor would do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it could be that he was so, oh crap, this is so effed up that perhaps he was being genuine.
Well, I don't know. I think he was kind of thinking Ned would die when he spoke to him in the crypt.
Right.
Oh, sorry, in the cell.
Oh, you're thinking that he felt he was already a dead man, that the deal wasn't going to go through with him?
I think Varys knew what was going to happen when he spoke to Ned in the cell.
Okay, because he knew Joffrey.
Yeah, and he knew that he had to say what he needed to say to get Ned to say what he needed him to say. This one right here, on the other hand, Robb could have made a treaty with either Stannis or Renly to beat the Lannisters. Well, we haven't gotten there yet because Renly just declared. But don't forget what happens with Renly and a certain woman that goes to meet with him. Mm-hmm. Again, the story would be much different if things work out differently. Because Robb, okay, we can't go there yet. But yeah, these are chapters.
That's twice I warned you, Renly.
I know. I don't want to spoil it. Oh man. All right. I got nothing left. You guys have anything on these?
No? I think we've just we said it all. It's
yeah.
The only thing I will say is that Tyrion is told, "Don't bring your whore to King's Landing."
Mm-hmm. Big fight about it.
Immediately turns around to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's Tywin's way of letting Tyrion know that he he's keeping track of them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. Now
But
you're going
he's
to be the hand
Shadowbringer.
picker.
Like, why would you do that?
Well, Tyrion falls in love quickly with certain type of women.
But
yeah, you're right. He
it's like
didn't
a
do that with the
politician.
girls. Right.
It's like you're a politician. Now you're an elected official. Whatever you did before, you should probably stop.
Right. And if Tyrion really wanted his dad's approval, he wouldn't bring her, but he wants somebody to love him. Even if he has to pay for it, I guess. I don't know. That one always got me too.
Or he's
But it
rebelling
moves.
like a child. It just seems
Yeah.
childish
Yeah.
to me.
It's childish because it's your first chance. It's your first chance at your father giving you something that's, I mean, this is massive. And the first thing he thinks is the only reason you're doing that is because, you know, you've written off Jaime. And he gets angry.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's pretty much being promoted to vice president, and he's like, I'm bringing the whore.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's insane.
It's stupid.
She's gonna be his chief of staff.
Oh,
That's terrible.
oh, that's great. That was a good one. I like that one. Chief of staff. Did you get it?
Oh.
Did you get it, guys?
Yeah.
We got it. We
Lady
got it.
Tauriel.
Hey, Lady
Hello.
Tauriel.
Born in the paw of the lion.
Wow.
You got to come on next week. Please come on next week because I think those are our last chapters.
Yeah, there's only 3 left.
Yep, we only have 3 chapters left, everybody, and we will be done with the Game of Thrones. So next week will be our last Game of Thrones stream for that book. We'll probably take a week or 2 off of doing books and just talk maybe spoiler stuff on the next 2 weeks after that. And then we'll come back with a Clash of Kings?
Yeah. So
Yep,
everyone in the chat, show up next time and bring your hookers.
Yes. And if, you know, I'm giving the 2 weeks, so people, that's almost like, you know, 3 weeks where you can get into a Clash of Kings. So get the audiobook, you know, do what you have to do, get your research going, and we'll see how it goes. I think it'll be a lot of fun, and we're going to try to hopefully move a couple more chapters a week, just so the book doesn't take another almost year to do. But it's been too much fun. I've had so much fun doing this book, so I feel like we're doing like a championship one next week. So make sure you're here, everybody. And then let's see. Last ones here is Tina saying, I don't think he wants to look too eager or to please his father too much. There's a lot of spite in Tyrion, and it is a spiteful thing. But there's also that bit of him that spent the whole night talking to her and this and that and thinking about his first wife. And I think he wants to also have someone who at least pretends at the moment to care about him. Never thought of that. He doesn't fall in love with the other whores. Makes it seem like Shay is a plant because she is so perfect for Tyrion. And we never find out who the Lord he stole her from. It festers and grows.
Yeah, 'cause that's a good point. Why can't he just bring another whore? Just buy another one.
I mean, he had whores up in Winterfell. Didn't think twice about those girls. Has whores in land, you know.
It makes sense that he would fall in love with one, but it's just, I mean, you have to. This is a new game. Like you're in a new place.
You're in the majors.
I think she was conveniently planted.
Yeah, I do too.
Do you think she knew that?
Oh yeah, I think
yeah.
Braun. I think Braun is behind it, and I think he's working for someone.
Yep. Let's not forget. Yeah, let's just not forget where she ends up. But we'll end it there, guys. Thank you so much for everybody coming out tonight. Why don't you guys plug your channels? We'll start with Teresa.
Miss Smart Muses, where I talk about TV, books, travel, kittens, cats, and anything else that crosses my mind. So if you wouldn't mind popping on over, I would appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much. And Jayne?
Hey guys, you can find me on YouTube where I post weekly movie and television reviews every Sunday at 6 Central, as well as some occasional pop culture news and commentary. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jayne Theory.
Thank you, Jayne. And the great Stig Baratheon Kenobi.
Yeah, you'll find me on. Well, I'm not really a YouTuber, but I did make another top 5 list.
Oh, it was great.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's not very PC at all.
No, and Stephen Walton made it into it, which is even better.
Oh yeah, he got a shout out in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on Thursdays you can find me on OG Star Wars' channel where we talk about well, it's kind of like this, but we're talking about old expanded universe Star Wars comics.
So cool.
It's like a little book club thing going on there. And on Saturdays, I'm on Christie's channel for the top 10 movie of the year thing. And next year, I think we're doing 97.
Yeah, 97.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
You guys have a great stream there. I love watching that one. I usually have to watch it on replay, but it's always good.
Yeah, and on Mondays, if I'm awake, I'm right here.
Which I'm so grateful for, man. I really am. It always is. I would love to have all 5 of you guys on for this. All 5 of us for this last one, because when we're all together, we just think of some really cool stuff that I never thought of before. So thank you. Thank all 3 of you and Lady Tauriel. You guys are the best. I want to do the intro video one more time for people that came late so they can see it.
I had a little idea actually.
Yeah.
If we're going to take a few weeks off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's 3 Dunk and Egg short stories.
Oh.
Ooh.
So maybe one per week, and we
could take even a little longer off and do 1 a week, and then come back 4 weeks.
Yeah, because they can contain some spoilers for future books. Especially when it involves that guy who is in that cave later on.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Or maybe we'll go over the first book and do it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I like that idea, because that doesn't really get into that yet.
Yeah, because, 1 short story per episode would be, no problem, because they're not that, complex at all.
Right. No, not at all. They're great books, though. They're great reads. They're quick reads. The first one is The Mystery Knight.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
No, the Hedge Knight.
No, the Hedge Knight. That's it. So if anybody wants to start reading the Hedge Knight. I think we'll do 1 week we'll do our last week of Game of Thrones. That gives you 2 weweeks to read it. Do you think that's enough, or we'll do 1 week of just spoiler stuff?
I have the hardcover book where you have all the stories, and it's only like 300 pages or something. I think.
So get on the Hedge Knight, people. It's a great story. I have only read that once, so that'll be kind of fun to read again. All right. That's the plan. And I'm going to do this intro, outro real quick, and then we'll come back, and then we'll do the credits, and we'll be out. So here it is for everybody that missed it. This is from the great Culture Casino, made this for me, and I love it. So dope. It's so dope. So yeah, thank you guys. Guys, remember, start reading The Hedge Knight. It is the first book. And then A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, I think, is the 3 novellas in one. So you can start on that and have all 3 together if you want to buy it. And I hope everybody has a great night. Be safe. put a spork in it, we're done.